After the changes in the recent patch, the new maps and meta, it is definitely time for an updated tier list. So let's get right into it, starting off with the duelists. Our first and only S-class duelist is none other than Jett. This agile agent made it to the S tier in the latest patch thanks to her exceptional mobility and versatile abilities. Jett's signature Tailwind ability allows her to quickly dash in any direction, making her an elusive target that can easily traverse the map and escape danger. However, it's her ability to deploy smokes that truly sets her apart. With the ability to throw up to 2 clouds of smoke in rapid succession, Jett can obscure enemy vision and create new opportunities for her team, especially with her smoke dash. It's incredibly hard to recognize the insane value a smoke dash offers a team, and how much space it can instantly seize. Her mobility, versatile kit, smoke screens, and strong fragging potential make her a top pick for players who prefer an aggressive and strategic playstyle, particularly in solo queue where she can create her own opportunities and keep herself safe in most situations. Coming in as our 2 A-tier duelist picks, we have both Phoenix and Raze. Phoenix is an A-tier agent in Valorant due to his straightforward kit and versatility. His abilities are easy to use, making him a great choice for newer players or those who are looking for a more simple agent. His flash ability can blind enemies and is great for pushing onto sites or stalling enemy advances, while his wall ability creates a wall of fire that can block off sight lines or damage enemies who cross it. Additionally, Phoenix's ultimate ability Run It Back allows him to return to previous position with full health if he dies during the duration of the ability, making him a valuable asset in clutch situations. Not to mention, with the ultimate only being 6 orbs to secure, you can have upwards of 3 to 4 ultimates in a single half. With his straightforward kit, self-sufficiency, and ability to push onto sites, Phoenix is a solid choice for players who want to be effective without having to master complex abilities. Next up on our list is Raze, who falls just below Phoenix in our rankings. Raze recently took a hit with a nerf to her boombot, which now only lasts for 5 seconds instead of 10. This has made her information gathering ability less effective and left her more exposed. However, with the recent reintroduction of Lotus and Split to the map pool and the removal of Breeze, Raze now has a strong selection of maps to be picked on. Her abilities pack a punch, allowing her to take down enemies with ease and even turn the tide of a round when used in combination or timed just right. These factors make her a solid pick for any team looking for a playmaking agent who can dominate close quarter combat with the press of a button. Our remaining duelists have landed in the B tier, and for good reason. Reyna has been stuck in this tier for multiple patches now, and that's because her playstyle is incredibly feast or famine. Her kit is extremely limited when it comes to raw utility or creating space for her team. However, in the hands of a player who can absolutely dominate the server, Reyna has the potential to reach S tier plus on any map in any situation. It is a risky bet though, because her success is almost entirely dependent on the player's performance. Because of said unpredictability, we're reluctantly keeping her in B tier for the foreseeable future. Moving on to our second B-tier agent, we have Yoru. However, it's not because Yoru is a weak agent, far from it. The reason he's placed in B tier is due to the immense skill required to use him effectively, but also on his team to play well around it. Yoru's kit offers a virtually infinite amount of plays when combining all of his abilities, making it difficult for players to master him. In the right hands, Yoru can be a force to be reckoned with, almost appearing unfair to the opposing team. However, for most players, Yoru ends up falling short, making him look like a subpar duelist. Despite his potential, his high skill floor and ceiling means that for solo queue, you're better off learning an agent that's simpler and has more room for error. And lastly for our duelist, we have the speed queen herself, Neon, ending out our picks. Neon, like Yoru, is an extremely strong agent in the right hands. However, she lacks the necessary abilities to be a solo playmaker like Yoru does without hurting your team. A misplaced wall or stun could completely ruin any play your team is trying to go for. But the even bigger reason for Neon's placement is because of the amount of setup she needs to really shine. You will see pro teams pick Neon all the time because of her E ability to beat timings and to effectively capitalize off of her team's utility. But while running, she is completely defenseless, so her team's abilities need to be used to help her succeed. In solo queue, this can sometimes be impossible to pull off with enough coordination, consequently keeping her to the B tier for this patch. Now, let's talk about any duelist's worst nightmare, the Sentinel players. As the only S-tier Sentinel for this patch, Killjoy the Tech Wiz remains the best of the best in her class, despite the recent nerfs. Her exceptional kit allows her to control space and disrupt enemy movements, making her a highly valued agent in the current Valorant meta. With her versatility, she is effective on any map and is a valuable asset to any team. Her ultimate ability, Lockdown, is particularly useful in choke points and tight spaces, making it an ideal tool for both attacking and defending spike sites. Additionally, Killjoy's nanoswarm grenades can deny enemy entry to specific areas, and her turret can provide additional damage while alerting the team of enemy movements. Overall, Killjoy's ability to control space and gather information makes her a powerful tool for any team seeking an advantage over their opponents. However, the greatest advantage given to Killjoy other than Chamber's nerfs was the removal of Bind and Breeze and the addition of Split and Lotus. Riot removed 2 of her worst maps, nerfed her best competition, and added 2 new maps that she's S+ on to begin with. Even with the nerf she's received in the last patch, she's not budging from her top spot. Before I talk about Cypher and Sage, I quickly want to tell you about our website ProGuides.com. On there, we offer exclusive guides, boot camps, and even coaching, and everything's available for just $8 a month. Check it out if you're serious about improving. Skipping down to B tier, both Sage and Cypher are decent picks in the current meta. Sage has always been a different form of Sentinel, having a very unique playstyle along with some unique abilities not characteristic to other Sentinels. This definitely is not the worst patch Sage has ever had, but it's hard for her to hold a candle to the other Sentinels as far as information gathering goes. Regardless, she has found a place being a keystone agent on maps like Icebox and Pearl because of her B plant wall, and even Split because the tight corridors allow her utility to stall decently well, giving her a slight edge over Cypher on our list. And while we mentioned the all-seeing eye, we might as well talk about him. While we think Cypher fell short this patch, unlike Sage, Cypher is in direct competition with KJ and Chamber, whom we will speak about later. Poor guy. For solo queue, we find that Cypher requires much more planning, communication, and overall finesse to not only frag out, but to keep your team safe too. Mainly since his trips are constantly being jumped over, teleported across, or just straight up broken before they get any value. Not to forget his ultimate that you can't even use to gain advantage unless you already have an enemy that's dead on the other team. Cypher is far from useless. Just as far as solo queue goes, you're better off picking Killjoy or even Sage if the map suits her. Lastly, in the trenches, we have our boy Chamber. To be honest, if we're being so for real with each other, it's getting tiring talking about him in such a poor light. I hope Riot gives him something to keep him competitive soon. As we all already know, his nerfs crippled every aspect of what made his kit good. He can no longer fight like a duelist and float like a sentinel now that all he does is feed like a walking ult orb. You're way better off picking any of the other previously listed agents based solely on utility. Nothing can save this man when he's found out by the opposing team's initiators, so let's talk about them next. The Terminator, aka KO, is the only initiator we feel is all around S tier this patch for solo queue. Initiators in general have a reputation of being a strong class all in all because of their insane team play and solo play potential. Want to flash for your team and pick off a free kill? KO can do that. Need to flash yourself to wipe the enemy squad? He can do that too. Wouldn't it be nice if KO had a button that he could press to completely dismantle Killjoy's entire gameplay and setup? Well, KO has two different abilities that do that as well. KO is in such an amazing spot in the meta since disabling utility will never be a bad feature to have in your kit. But when you're playing in solo queue, your impact is limitless with the amount of value you can extract from his kit round to round. The carry potential alone makes KO an easy pick for a top initiator position in this patch, especially since he doesn't have a single bad map. Coming up in A is a close fight between Sova and Fade. Ultimately, we decided Sova is a bit stronger than Fade and has a higher carry potential if you know a variety of lineups, and if you have good timing and communication with your abilities. Sova is highly versatile due to his unique abilities that revolve around gathering information and providing support to his team. His recon bolt can be used to reveal enemy positions, while his shock bolt can be used to damage enemies and flush them out of cover. Additionally, his owl drone allows him to scout ahead and gather information without putting himself at risk. His ultimate ability, Hunter's Fury, fires 3 energy blasts that can penetrate walls and deal significant damage to enemies, making it an effective tool for clearing out tight spaces or disrupting enemy movements. The complete ability to destroy Killjoy's new 8-point ultimate is a very strong factor for Sova's placement on our list. Fade is a very close contender with Sova in the A tier since they both share similar kits. The key difference, however, is that Fade was nerfed a few patches ago, making her dogs travel a much shorter distance. This nerf is a big deal since that was one of the biggest factors giving her the upper hand on the Owl Boy. But since that nerf, she falls to about even with him in most cases, if not worse. Both Sova and Fade are strong agents in their own right, with unique abilities that can provide valuable information and support to their teams. They are versatile agents that can be effective on any map, making them valuable assets to any team composition. Rounding out the B tier initiators, we have Skye and Breach. These two Flash Demons are both strong agents in professional play due to their powerful abilities that can provide critical support to their teams. However, in solo queue, they can be weaker due to their heavy reliance on team play to pull off their abilities effectively. Skye's abilities, such as her Trailblazer and Guiding Light, require precise coordination with her team to gather information and clear out areas. Her ultimate ability, Seekers, can track down enemies and nearsight them, but it requires her team to follow up and capitalize on the opportunity. Similarly, Breach's abilities require coordination with his team to get the most out of them. His Flashpoint and Fault Line can stun and slow enemies, but they require precise timing and coordination with his team to maximize their effectiveness. His ultimate ability, Rolling Thunder, can stun and knock enemies down, but can also affect his teammates if they are caught in the blast. Overall, Skye and Breach can be strong picks in the right team composition, with their abilities providing critical support and control. However, in solo queue, their effectiveness can be limited due to their reliance on team play to get the most out of their abilities. To succeed with these agents in solo queue, it is important to communicate with your team and coordinate your abilities effectively to maximize their impact. And while we're talking about team coordination, it's a good time to talk about the controller meta. Controllers have one of the most important roles in the entire game that requires a lot of coordination and good timing. A tier belongs to Brimstone, Omen, and Viper this patch. Omen and Brimstone are two characters with distinct playstyles and abilities. Brimstone is a powerful controller with 3 smokes per round, which he uses to cut off sightlines and block enemies. However, his ultimate ability, Orbital Strike, can clear out a large area and is particularly useful for countering Killjoy's ultimate. Brimstone is also known for his fast tempo and likes to lead the charge with his team. On the other hand, Omen is a more versatile controller with recharging smokes. He prefers a slower tempo and uses his abilities to create distractions and manipulate the battlefield. Omen's flash ability is especially effective for enabling his team to push forward and take control of key positions. Overall, while both characters are valuable members of any team, they offer different strengths and require different playstyles to be used effectively. We've given Brim the edge here in solo queue because his rush-heavy playstyle is easier to communicate and execute with random teammates, but Omen is a completely fine pick that works well on most maps. Viper also belongs in the A tier, but not because of how amazing she is as a solo controller. In fact, more often than not, Viper is extremely bad for a solo smoker since her abilities are very choreographed, with the exception of course being Icebox. Once her wall is down, it's not moving for the remainder of the round, so it's easily read by the enemy. But where Viper really shines is her power as a pseudo sentinel on defense, along with her bomb stalling capabilities on attack. Pairing Viper with an Omen or Brim can have amazing effects for your team since Viper does cause a ton of issues for the enemy team's control over the map. Combine this control with some Molly lineups and you can win rounds without even fighting the enemy team. The only controller we find fit for B tier is Astra. Astra isn't really lacking anything in her kit that makes her a weak controller, but she does take a lot of teamwork to get the most value from the pick. In Astra's current state, she isn't the best for solo queue environments unless you are extremely proficient with the agent, mostly since a misplaced suck, stun, or ultimate can end up getting no value or even hurting your team's chances of winning the round. The other controllers really don't have this risk involved with their kit. The last agent and controller left on our list is of course Harbor. Harbor has been seeing more play not only in solo queue but the highest levels of Valorant since his release. But if you're looking to play one of the strongest controllers in your own games, it's almost impossible to recommend Harbor to you. He's definitely more difficult to play compared to Omen and Brimstone, along with the fact that his kit is designed for the player to set up coordinated attacks and set up timings for the enemy team. His kit just isn't the all-around best controller for any map currently, and learning how he's best used is tedious. For these reasons, Harbor resides at the bottom of Davy Jones' locker for this patch. And that just about wraps it up for our solo queue agent tier list for patch 6.03. We hope you guys enjoyed the video and we look forward to what you guys think in the comment section down below. This has been your host Sergeant Frost and I'll see you all again in the next one.